Welcome back to another cook along with me, Adam Pennell, Young Shrewsbury, and today we're going to do some barbecue pulled pork without the barbecue. So if you haven't got a barbecue, you don't need to worry, you do need to have an oven. I'm hoping most of you have access to an oven. Going to make a pulled pork sandwich and some slaw. It's a really easy dish to do, like super easy, but it takes time. So if you're watching this and hoping to eat your dinner in half an hour, then I'm afraid you're going to be getting hungry, because this is probably going to take between 4 and 5 hours to cook. Okay, it's really easy though, so you can cut it. What I'm going to do, it's the morning now, so I'm going to get it on and then I'm going to go about my day, and then I'll come back and we'll have it ready for tea. So all you need to do is take your pork shoulder, or one pork shoulder if you haven't had it delivered by us. Just take it out of the packet, or if you've got it from your butcher you wouldn't need to, but this one is from the supermarket. Okay, you'll see, now get rid of the packaging, that often it's going to be wrapped up like this, okay, because a lot of people will be roasting this and slicing it, and it helps it to be roasted. We're not going to do that because we're going to have it pulled. And when I say pulled, I don't know if you've ever seen it when it's like all sort of stringy and it all falls apart. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like when it goes in the oven. So what we're going to do is take a knife. Now you might need to get an adult to help you with this bit. Take the string off, okay? And that will mean that you can get at the skin. Okay, now this stuff makes wicked pork scratchings, makes great crackling, but for pulled pork, you don't want it because it will stop your seasoning getting into the meat, and it doesn't pull, it just goes rubbery and horrible. So you need to take that piece of fat off. So with a sharp knife, just run the knife very carefully underneath the skin, between the skin and the meat, okay? And you need to lift off the whole of the skin. Now, if it comes off in 2 or 3 bits, that's fine. Don't worry too much. Just, we do need to try and get it off without losing too much of the meat, okay? You slice it, I've just sliced into a little bit myself, and I've done this so many times. So if you slice into a little bit, don't worry. But the hard sort of outer skin of the pork does need to go. If you wanted to, you could salt this afterwards and throw it in the oven separately with a tray underneath it, because it will drip fat everywhere. And if you do it in a high heat, salt it down, within about 45 minutes you'll have some decent crackling, or pork scratchings, as people like to call it, if you let them go cold. But I am trying to watch my weight at the moment because I've put on so much weight recently, eating too much bad food, so I'm not going to do that. So that, for me, skin is nearly done. I'm not cutting this particularly well. There we go, just cut away that last bit. Alright, and that can go away. And that leaves you with a nice piece of pork, okay? Now, you can use any rub you like on this. If you can get hold of a barbecue rub of some description, great, okay? In the supermarket, you will find, at every supermarket, all-purpose seasoning. And this stuff is really good. You just give it a taste before you start. I'm not going to, because I've got pork on my hands, and I will wash this bottle afterwards. This has got salt in it already, so I don't need to salt it. It's got a load of other flavourings in it as well. So you've got paprika, you've got black pepper, you've got chilli, it's got onion, celery, seeds, garlic, nutmeg, coriander, cayenne pepper. So it's everything you need. It's basically a rub, okay? It's just called all-purpose seasoning. And you're going to liberally sprinkle that all over our piece of meat, okay? And you'll probably find, if you see in there, there's all sort of nooks and crannies and bits and bobs. Get the flavour in every single crack, because it's quite a big piece of meat, and in the inside you're not going to have any of that flavour at all. So you need to maximise how much you put onto the outside. So just rub all over with your all-purpose seasoning, and then just for a bit of colour, and because I love the flavour, I'm actually going to add extra paprika as well. Smoked paprika though, because we are using, because we're doing this in the oven, we need to try and get those smoky flavours in somewhere else. If I was doing it on the barbecue, obviously the coals and the wood would do it. In the oven, you need to do it with something else, and that smoked paprika will give you that smoky flavour, alright? So plenty of smoked paprika on top of that as well. Just going to rub it all over. Your hands are going to get dirty in this. You can put gloves on if you want, but it'll wash off. I wouldn't worry too much. We're trying to get loads of flavour, loads of colour into this outer layer of the meat. It's not coming out very easily, this. That'll do. Okay, giving that a final rub. I like to rub it into the board get every last bit of flavour off the board and onto the meat. Okay, into a roasting tray. Okay, and that's going to go into a preheated oven now for 45 minutes, and then I'll show you what you need to do next. I almost forgot to say, at 180 degrees. Okay, so this has been in the oven for 45 minutes. Pulled it out about 5 minutes ago, so it's cool enough for me to touch. You can see, got some nice colour, whoops, on that now. Alright, and that's what we wanted to do. So we've got the colour on, the heat's kind of started it to cook. What we need to do now is slow things down a bit, and we're going to add some more flavour. So I'm going to take some barbecue sauce now. Okay, and I just want you to pour barbecue sauce all over the meat. And if you've got a brush or something, you can rub it on, even better. Try and get it all over. So you might want to roll it over and get the underneath as well. And try and coat the whole thing in your barbecue sauce. It's a bit hot, so just be careful. Alright. And once it's coated, you're happy. 1 cup of water. Not onto the meat, but into the tray. Okay, that's going to help to like kind of steam it now, and it's going to cook real slow. So you need to turn your oven down to 140 degrees now. So it was on 180 for the start. We're now going to drop it down low and slow. And what you also need to do is make sure that you seal it off really well with a couple of layers of foil. So here's the first one. And 2 layers just means you get a nice seal. What we don't want is much of that water escaping by way of evaporation, you know, when it gets too hot. We need to try and trap as much of the juices in there as we possibly can. Alright? Some of it will escape, but 1 layer of foil isn't going to do a lot, and it kind of, you find that it peels up at the edges, so a second layer always kind of ensures that you've got a better airtight kind of seal all the way around. Got a really awkward foil tray there, never mind. Right, so that goes on, second layer goes on, and I'm crimping it all round, okay? Really tight, all the way. Okay. Now what you do is pop that back in the oven for about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. You know, it doesn't really matter if you leave it a little bit longer, if you're going to go out for the afternoon or something, but it's going to need at least 3 hours, probably 4. Okay, I'm going to give it about 4. Okay, so I was out for a bit longer than expected. 4 hours this has been cooking, and I've taken it out of the oven, and it's always good to leave it to rest. So don't open it up, let it rest, and while you rest, we can just quickly make a coleslaw, which is going to go perfectly with the pulled pork. Okay, so first things first, you need to get a bowl to put everything into. That can go there. I've got some white cabbage here. Okay, I'm going to cut down into a quarter, and just cut out on an angle, cut out that hard bit of where the root was, alright? And then you're probably only going to need a quarter really. Just very closely shave down the layers and cut it into little strips, like so. All the way down. And if you have a little bit left over and you're getting too close to your fingers, don't worry about it, throw it away. Cabbages are really, really cheap, so don't worry about wasting a little bit of it, it's fine. So break that into the bowl. Then we have our usual, we don't do a recipe without an onion in it usually. So red onion, okay, going to take top and bottom off that, slice in half, take away the outer paper, and then I'm just going to slice across that into thin strips as well. You want everything to be in long, thin kind of bits for coleslaw. You know, you've all seen coleslaw, you know what the pieces are like in it. You're not going to dice it up finely. Okay, it's all about everything being the same kind of texture. Okay, so that's all the slicing done. Now I'm just going to take my mandolin, or you can use a grater. Okay, put it straight over the top. Whoops, there's my knife. And then take 1 apple. Apple and pork work really well. It brings a little bit of sweetness to your coleslaw. Coleslaw's a great way of getting your veggies in as well, and raw veggies too, which is the best way to eat them. You get the most nutrients out of them. As soon as you start cooking them, you lose some of that nutrient. So coleslaw is a wicked thing to have. It's super tasty and good for you. And then finally, 1 carrot across the grater, all the way down, like so. Okay. And then what we need to do for this is take 2 spoons of mayo, 1, 2, and just mix everything together. And you're going to keep mixing it until everything is coated in that mayonnaise. I don't like to have too much mayonnaise in my coleslaw. You could put more in if you want. I just like a light coating, keep it quite sort of fresh. Okay, but that is such a simple coleslaw, and it's 10 times better than the stuff you taste in the shops. Not only because you know you've got fresh ingredients in there, but it just is. It's just so fresh and light, look, yeah? So, there's your coleslaw, done. Okay, finally, I'm going to show you the pulled pork. Okay, so, I'm going to peel back. Oh, look at that. Smells amazing. A lot of that liquid has gone down to sort of thick sauce again. Okay, so that sauce that we put on there has become like a loose liquid. There's probably a little bit of fat in there. Okay, and all we need to do now is use 2 forks, and it should just fall apart like that. Okay, and what you do is just rub it all into the liquid that's left to create this gorgeous, sticky, tasty barbecued pulled pork. Alright, so simple. And the good thing about this dish is you can go out and do something for the day, come back and you've got this delicious meal to come home to. And if you don't use it all in your sandwiches, which it goes, as you can see, you get a long, well, it goes a long way. You get a lot of pork out of one little shoulder. You probably feed a family of 6 with this. Or you can put it into a chili or something the next day. Yeah, stir fry it is really good. But all those juices and everything that are in there are all now all over that pork. And it looks absolutely amazing. And I cannot wait to taste it. It smells awesome too. Such a simple dish. All right, so now to serve this, what we're going to do, I'm just going to put that to one side. We're just going to take a bun, whoops, like that, some of our coleslaw. So put a good bit of coleslaw on that. It's just going to counteract the quite sort of sweet barbecue sauce that we used. Okay, and then I'm going to just load it up with a load of pork like this. Lid on, and there we have the most amazing pulled pork sandwich. I've just turned the camera around. I'm going to turn it back up so you can see me again. Right, get your mouth around one of these guys. It's absolutely amazing. Thanks for watching. Like, share, tell your mates. See you next week.